I was never remembered on my birthday as parents' spoiled sister, took my laptop, so I refused, left home, exposed favoritism, and their reputation crumbled. All right, so I, 16 male, have a sister, 14 female. She had leukemia when she was 6. For about 5 years, everything in our house revolved around her being sick. And yeah, I get it, she was literally fighting for her life. But what everyone seems to forget is that I was still there, still a kid, still needed things, still wanted birthdays and hugs and someone to show up to my science fair. But nah, I became background noise, furniture. Most of the time I was either left home alone or handed off to whoever had time that week, aunt, grandma, neighbor down the street. Didn't matter. As long as I wasn't in the way, they were cool with it. I learned to make cereal for dinner and heat stuff in the microwave by 2nd grade. I stopped asking questions like, when's mom coming home? After a while, because nobody answered anyway. When they did, it was always, she's busy with your sister or don't be selfish. You want to know what Christmas looked like? We didn't even do normal gifts. It was all make it magical for her just in case. I got a scarf one year, a frickin' scarf. My sister got a pony-themed makeup vanity set and an iPad. I didn't even ask for anything big, man. One year I said I wanted this RC car, nothing wild, just this little $60 one I saw on YouTube. Guess who got it instead? Not me. Socks again. And don't get me started on birthdays. I think my 11th and 13th were just forgotten. Like, straight up. No cake, no happy birthday, nothing. On my 14th, I got a half-hearted cupcake from my aunt because she remembered. My parents didn't even say anything. My dad actually said, "Oh, that was today?" Like, yeah, bro, it's been the same date every year since I was born. They took stuff from me, too. I had this beanbag chair I was obsessed with. Big gray one they bought me when I was 9. It had memory foam and everything. A couple months after she got diagnosed, it disappeared from my room. I asked, "Where's my chair?" And they said, "Your sister needed it to rest." No discussion, just gone. And every time I had something, a snack from school, a pencil I liked, even a hoodie, it became a question of, can you give it to your sister? Or worse, did you bring something for your sister too? Like I was supposed to be her emotional support donkey or something. I wasn't allowed to just exist without being useful to her happiness. That became my job. Fast forward to last year, she's totally healthy now. School, sleepovers, parties, full normal. But my parents never stopped acting like we were in crisis mode. I'm still the invisible one, the backup, the understudy in a play I didn't audition for. So I started working part-time at this little shop near school. Just helping stock shelves and clean stuff. Not a big deal, but it paid something. I didn't blow it on junk. I saved every dollar because I had one goal, buying myself a gaming laptop. Something that was mine that nobody could take, that I could use to actually feel like a person again. I didn't ask for help, didn't tell them, just worked and saved and waited. My birthday came around in June. My 2 best friends gave me money instead of buying anything and came with me to pick it up. It was one of the best days I've had in years. Seriously, that thing was beautiful. I treated it like a newborn baby. I even kept it in the box for a whole day before opening it because I wanted to savor it. Then last week happened. I got home from school, backpack still on my back, not even 5 steps in the door, and I see my parents and my sister all sitting in the living room like they were waiting for me. That alone should have been a red flag. My mom goes, "Hey, your sister wants to start playing games with her friends, like computer games." I just nodded. Cool. My dad adds, "We figured since you already have a nice gaming laptop, maybe you could let her use it. It just makes more sense than buying another one." I stood there like, nah, I must have misheard that. Surely this is just bad phrasing. But no, they meant it. They started talking about sharing and being fair and don't you want your sister to be happy? And I snapped. I don't mean I said something passive-aggressive. I mean I fully blew up. My voice cracked from yelling. I don't remember every word, but I know I said stuff like, "Oh yeah, she should have it, why not? Let's just hand her everything I own, she can take my clothes too. Matter of fact, why not my bed? Hers is new, mine's a crusty old thing from when I was 4. Give her that too, I'll just sleep on the floor. Actually, nah, I'll just move out and live in the garage since I'm clearly not part of this house, unless it's to give her something." I was shaking, not crying, just shaking from how much I had pent up. My sister didn't say a single word, just sat there like she was at a movie. My parents were speechless for like 10 seconds. Then my mom stood up and yelled, "What the heck is wrong with you?" I laughed, one of those dry, dead laughs, and said, "What's wrong with me? Try asking what's been wrong with this house for the past 10 years. I went to my room, slammed the door, didn't even care how loud it was. That was 5 days ago. Nobody has said a word to me since unless it's past the salt or your laundry's done. The cold shoulder is real, but I still have my laptop. That's probably the only reason I haven't been completely cut off, and honestly, I don't even feel bad about it anymore. I used to think I was the problem, like maybe I really was just selfish, but after everything, it's clear they just never saw me. Not unless I was useful to her, and I'm not doing it anymore. I started locking my door, not just at night, every time I left for school too. Got tired of wondering if they'd sneak in and borrow the laptop while I was gone. My mom told me locking my door was ungrateful. I told her respecting people's stuff wasn't a personality flaw. She walked off like I'd just insulted the Pope. Honestly, locking that door felt like the first real line I drew in the sand. For once, I wasn't just going along with whatever they decided. I wasn't negotiating for scraps of space. I wasn't going to be the bigger person so they could take from me without even blinking. They weren't used to me having a spine. That's the thing. When you're quiet for years, the moment you speak up, everyone acts like you're unstable, like you've changed. Nah, I didn't change. I just stopped lying about how pissed off I was. A few days after the blow-up, my mom cornered me in the hallway. I was literally just trying to get toothpaste and she popped out of the laundry room, like she'd been waiting. "I just think you're making this into something it's not," she said, like she was giving some deep wisdom. I stared at her. "You tried to give away something I worked months for." She blinked like that had never crossed her mind before. "Well, your sister just wanted it." "Yeah, I know. She doesn't always understand boundaries," she said, changing it mid-sentence, like if she softened the words it would change the meaning. I didn't say anything, just walked past her. She muttered something like, "You used to be such a sweet boy. Classic." That night, I sat at my desk, laptop open, watching YouTube while eating leftover pasta. I stared at the locked door and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Control. It was small, yeah, but it was mine. No one barged in, no one took anything. My stuff was where I left it. That shouldn't be rare, but in this house it is. A week later, my sister knocked on my door. First time she ever knocked. "Can I come in?" I asked why. She hesitated, then said, "Just want to talk." I opened the door a crack. She stood there, arms crossed, not looking me in the eye. "I didn't know they were going to say that about the laptop," she said. I nodded. "Okay." She glanced at the floor. "I didn't ask for it. They just said I should." I nodded again. Then she asked, "Are you mad at me?" I paused, thought about lying but didn't. "I'm mad at everyone," I said. "Including you." "Yeah. Not because you asked for stuff, but because you never noticed." "Noticed what?" "That you always got what you wanted, even when it was mine. Even when I said no, you just took it like that was normal." She didn't answer, just stood there. Eventually she said, "I didn't think about it." And I was like, "Exactly." She left after that. No dramatic apology, no scene. But for the first time ever, she looked like she got it, at least a little. I'm not saying we're cool now, we're not. But she hasn't tried to touch my stuff since, and when I walk into a room, she doesn't act like I'm just background noise. That's new. At school, people moved on pretty quick. There was a hallway rumor I threw a tantrum over Fortnite, which I honestly found hilarious. Let them believe that. It's way easier than explaining that my parents basically raised me to be a coat rack with feelings. Josh and Malik are still my guys. We started a Minecraft server on weekends just to screw around and build dumb stuff. It's not even about the games. It's about having somewhere to be where I'm not just the other sibling, where nobody's asking me to give something up. I've also started saving again. Not sure for what yet. Maybe a better chair, maybe a lockbox, maybe just so I know I can. Feels different now, like the money I earn is mine and only mine and nobody can guilt me into handing it over with a smile. My parents are still in denial mode. They act like I had some teenage meltdown and now everything's fine. They still give each other that look when I don't say good morning or skip dinner, like I'm the moody one, like I'm going through some phase. But I'm not in a phase. I'm just not letting them walk over me anymore. That's it. That's all this is. They can either get used to it or keep avoiding me in the kitchen. Either way, I'm good. I've got a laptop they didn't buy, a locked door they can't open, and a few people who actually see me. And for now, that's enough. So, a couple weeks after the laptop situation, my aunt decided to throw this big cookout. Supposedly just a summer get-together, but let's be real, every family event turns into a show. Everyone comes dressed like they're about to be on the cover of a Target catalog, plastic smiles, forced stories, and somehow every adult still thinks I'm 10 years old and into Legos. My mom insisted we go. I tried to say no. She hit me with the "your grandmother's going to be there" guilt trip. I do actually like my grandma, though. She's old school, blunt as hell, and the only one in the family who doesn't baby my sister. So I went. Didn't dress up, didn't try. Just threw on a black hoodie, jeans, and headphones around my neck. I could already feel the teenager attitude comments loading up in everyone's heads. We pulled into the driveway and it was already crowded. Kids running around with sticky fingers, uncles yelling at a busted grill, my cousin Emma showing off her third piercing like she invented rebellion. My mom immediately slipped into her fake happy voice, dragging my sister along like a trophy. The second we stepped in, it started, "Oh wow, your girl's gotten so big, she looks amazing, and you were so brave, sweetie." Then they saw me. Nod. Quick hey, back to her. I was already tuning out. I walked over to the edge of the yard where Malik and Josh were. Yeah, I invited them, didn't even ask my parents, just told them we were carpooling. They didn't argue. Josh brought chips, Malik brought his usual sarcasm. "Wow," he said, looking around. "So this is where your family stores the passive aggression." We sat on the edge of the deck eating like we were at some weird people zoo. At some point, my cousin Jaden came up and asked, dead serious, if I brought my laptop. "Wanted to show your sister this new multiplayer game I found." I just looked at him and said, "Buy your own laptop, man." He blinked like I'd slapped him. "Jeez, touchy." "Yeah, touchy. That's me now." Anyway, eventually we all had to gather around for food. Long plastic table, folding chairs, someone's dog sniffing underfoot. My mom brought this pasta salad she swore she made with love but definitely bought at Costco. Everyone's trying to make conversation like the past 10 years haven't happened. Then Aunt Denise opens her mouth. Smiling at my sister, "Are you still doing those cute little arts and crafts videos? I saw the one where you painted your nails like strawberries. Adorable." My sister, of course, laps it up. She's a TikTok pro now, not hating, she's good at it. But it's just another way she gets the spotlight. Denise turns to me, "And what about you, sweetie? Still playing with those video games?" I just nodded, not even worth explaining. She kept going, "You should really share that fancy computer with your sister. She's got such a creative mind." Something about that sentence made my hand grip my fork too tight. My mom tried to slide in a joke, we've already had that discussion, and laughed like it was no big deal. Josh, bless him, choked on his soda. Malik leaned back and raised an eyebrow at me like, "You good?" That's when Grandma stepped in. She didn't raise her voice, just sipped her tea and said, "If it's his computer, then it's his. Don't see what's so complicated about that." The whole table froze for a second. My mom went stiff. Aunt Denise blinked. My sister stayed quiet, which was weirdly refreshing. Grandma kept going, "Boy worked, saved, bought something for himself. That should be respected. I don't recall anyone giving him a dime." I couldn't lie. Hearing that almost made me smile. My dad cleared his throat and muttered something like we were just trying to be fair. Grandma shook her head. "Fair isn't asking one kid to give up everything every time the other wants something. That's called favoritism." Boom. There it was. Nobody knew what to say after that. The conversation shifted awkwardly to lawn care and vacation plans, but the tension stuck. My mom avoided eye contact with me the rest of the afternoon. My sister went back to filming herself by the flower beds, and my dad just ate like his plate was more interesting than the whole family. After we left, the car was dead silent. Not a word the whole ride home. I watched the trees go by and wondered if Grandma's words actually did anything. Probably not, but still, someone said it out loud in front of everyone. That counted for something. Later that night, I got a text from Grandma. "Keep speaking up. Quiet boys get trampled." That hit me harder than anything because, yeah, I was the quiet one, the easy one, the kid who didn't complain while his stuff was taken and his birthdays were forgotten, but not anymore. The next morning, I made eggs and left the pan in the sink. Not out of spite, just not my job to clean everything anymore. My mom saw it and started to say something but then stopped, like she remembered what Grandma said, or maybe she knew I wouldn't just nod and scrub it like usual. Either way, she walked off. Small win, but a win. So school started getting weird. Not because of the laptop thing, that dust mostly settled. People stopped whispering about me screaming over Minecraft and moved on to whatever TikTok drama was trending that week. But something shifted with my sister. After the cookout, when Grandma dropped the favoritism nuke in front of everyone, she started acting off. She wasn't throwing tantrums or anything, just quiet, kind of sulky, which again isn't her usual. She's the type who floats into a room and expects the whole place to pivot toward her, but now she wouldn't even look at me at breakfast. She'd scroll through her phone, fake laugh at reels, but not talk. It was eerie, like living with a ghost who still hogs the mirror. And then came the science fair. Every year, our school does this dumb group project thing where siblings can team up if they want. My sister and I never have, obviously. I always paired with Malik or someone else in class. But this year, they decided to do family collaboration for bonus credit. Teachers think it's wholesome, what it really is, an excuse to dump all the work on one person while the other coasts and gets a grade. I had already partnered with a guy in my chemistry class. We were building this potato battery thing, nothing fancy, just enough to pass. Everything was going fine until my science teacher pulled me aside and asked, "Hey, I thought you and your sister might be working together." I was like, "Nope, we didn't talk about that." He looked confused. "She signed up with you on the list." That's when I realized she signed us both up without saying anything, and I lost it. Not publicly, not yet, but in my head, alarms were going off. Later that day, I confronted her by the lockers after school. "Why did you put my name on your project?" She blinked. "I thought you wouldn't care." "You didn't even ask." She rolled her eyes. "It's not a big deal. I just needed help setting it up. You're good at that stuff." That line right there, that's the problem. I'm good at that stuff, so I'm expected to just do it. Doesn't matter that I have my own grades, my own life, my own stuff to handle. I'm just a tool in her box, something to pull out when she needs a good grade or a shiny display board. "No," I said flat out. "I'm not doing it." She scoffed. "Seriously? It's just a board and maybe a diagram. You'd finish it in like an hour." Still not doing it. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. "Why are you being like this?" "Because you didn't ask, and I'm not your backup anymore." She stormed off. Classic. That night I told my parents, not because I wanted backup, more like I wanted to head off whatever spin she was going to throw at them. "Hey, just letting you know, she put me down as her project partner without asking me. I'm not doing it." My mom barely looked up from her phone. "You're being dramatic again." There it was again. I looked at my dad. He just said, "Just help her out. It's not that hard." That's when I said something I probably shouldn't have, but also don't regret. "Y'all are allergic to telling her no, huh?" My mom snapped. She asked for help, not a kidney. She didn't ask. She assumed, like always. And I left the kitchen. No slamming doors this time, just walked back to my room, locked the door, and started working on my actual project. A few days later, the science fair happened. I showed up, set up my table, and guess what I saw across the gym? My sister standing next to a blank trifold board. No project, no poster, just vibes. She looked miserable. Honestly, I didn't enjoy it. I'm not wired like that. But I wasn't going to fix it either. Her friends asked where her project was. She mumbled something about technical difficulties. The teacher looked confused. She didn't throw me under the bus, though, I'll give her that. Still, when we got home, my parents were ready. "How could you let your sister stand there with nothing?" my mom barked. "Not my problem," I said. "I told you I wasn't doing it. She's your sister. I'm not her unpaid assistant." My dad started going on about family loyalty and being a team, and I just said it. "You only care when I don't bend over for her. The second I do something for myself, I'm the bad guy." And this time my sister actually stepped in. "He didn't do anything wrong," she said, looking down at her phone. "I should have asked." That stunned everyone into silence. I looked at her. She didn't look back, but she said it out loud for once. After that, nobody had anything else to say. My mom walked off to wash dishes. My dad mumbled something about, "Just wish you kids got along." But they didn't push it further. And me? I felt weirdly calm, not victorious, not smug, just clear. I said no, and the world didn't end. She took the hit, and the planet kept spinning. It felt like maybe, just maybe, she was starting to see the line I was drawing, and that maybe I didn't have to scream to be heard anymore. So after the science fair thing, stuff at home calmed down. Not in a "we're all healed now" way. More like everyone was just tired of talking or pretending to talk. My sister stopped trying to rope me into stuff. My parents stopped trying to guilt me every time I breathed in a way they didn't like. It was quiet, which I honestly didn't mind. But while they were cooling off, I was planning. See, I'd been thinking about moving out the second I hit 18. I knew I couldn't just wake up one day and bounce with no plan. I'd need money, options, and most importantly, a reason they couldn't talk me into staying. And I got that reason. My school counselor mentioned a dual enrollment program. Basically, you take college classes at a community college while finishing high school. If you do it right, you graduate early and get a head start. Best part, it was free. Like government-funded free. I asked for the forms, didn't tell anyone. I started doing homework at lunch, taking on extra credit, staying after school just to get ahead. People assumed I was just nerding out or trying to win some scholarship. Nah, I was plotting my exit quietly, strategically. I figured once I had everything lined up, I'd let them know. Not for approval, just as a heads up. But of course, nothing stays quiet in a house like mine. One afternoon, my mom came into my room while I was at school. She said she was cleaning translations, snooping. She found the paperwork on my desk. That night at dinner, she dropped the bomb. "So," she said, stabbing her fork into some overcooked chicken, "you're planning to leave early?" I froze mid-bite. My dad looked up like he was just now finding out too. "Dual enrollment?" he asked. I didn't answer right away, just wiped my mouth and said, "Yeah, I've been looking into it." Silence. Then my mom hit me with the classic, "Why didn't you tell us?" "Because I knew you'd try to talk me out of it." They both stared at me like I'd grown another head. "You're still a kid," she said. "You can't just make decisions like this." "I'm 16. I'll be 17 in a few months. I'm allowed to plan." My dad leaned forward. "Where are you going to go? Who's going to support you? You think life's that easy?" I nodded. "Nope. That's why I'm trying to get a head start." Then came the guilt tripping. "So you're just going to leave us? Leave your sister? You don't even eat dinner with us anymore. You think you're grown because you have a laptop?" I didn't say anything, just let them rant. Eventually my sister, who had been watching quietly, said, "If he wants to go, let him. He doesn't owe us anything." That shut them up real quick. It was honestly the first time she ever backed me up without being asked. And weirdly, it made the whole thing feel even heavier. Like, okay, maybe she gets it now. Maybe a tiny piece of her realizes I didn't just snap one day. This has been building forever. My parents didn't bring it up again for a few days, but I could feel it in the air. My mom kept asking if I needed help with homework in this passive-aggressive tone, like suddenly caring would erase the last 10 years. My dad kept checking in on how I'm feeling, like I was going through a phase or something, but I wasn't. I'm not. I had meetings with the school counselor, talked to the program advisor. I found out if I pushed hard enough, I could graduate 6 months early. If I got a job and kept saving, I could move in with my cousin who lives 2 towns over. He works construction, has a small place, and offered to let me crash in the extra room if I paid part of the rent. That was it. That was the plan. A week later, I told them everything. I've got it set up. I'm taking the early graduation route, starting dual enrollment next semester. I'll be moving in with David after I turn 18. My mom started crying. Not loud sobbing, that quiet kind where she wipes her eyes like she's just got something in them. "So you really hate it here that much?" she whispered. I didn't answer because if I said no, I'd be lying. And if I said yes, it would just hurt her more. And I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I just didn't want to keep living like a cardboard cutout that only got noticed when something needed to be handed over. My dad shook his head. "You think you're going to go out there and suddenly life's perfect?" "No," I said. "I just want to live a life where I'm not second place in my own house." After that, dead silence. They didn't fight it, didn't tell me I couldn't. Maybe they realized I was serious, or maybe they were just tired. Either way, I walked out of that kitchen feeling lighter. Later that night, my sister came to my room. "I think you should go," she said. I looked at her. She was serious. "I don't think Mom and Dad will ever treat you the way you deserve," she added. "But maybe I will." That hit me weird because, yeah, it doesn't erase anything, but at least someone saw it. So by this point, I had everything in place. Dual enrollment locked in. Cousin David confirmed I could move in when I turned 18. He even said I could help him on job sites when he had side gigs, painting, cleanup, random stuff. Not glamorous, but I wasn't looking for glamorous. I was looking for space, some breathing room. I had a timeline. I was 6 months out, and they felt it. My mom stopped pretending she was okay with it. Started doing that weird thing where she'd make extra dinner and leave a plate outside my door like it was bait. My dad tried the life's hard son speeches at least twice a week. The closer I got to leaving, the more they kept trying to rewrite history. "We've always supported you. Number 1, you supported my sister. I survived." But what really set me off? They asked for a favor, a big one. It was a Saturday. I'd just gotten back from work. Yeah, I picked up shifts at this car wash near the highway. Simple stuff, decent pay, enough to help build the escape fund. I walked in covered in sweat and soap foam, ready to crash. And they're both sitting at the kitchen table like it's a job interview. Mom's like, "We need to talk." Cool. Here we go. Dad goes, "Your sister got into this local arts program. It's during the week after school, but there's no transportation." I already knew where this was going, didn't say anything. "She needs someone to drive her," my mom says. Just a couple times a week. It's not far. And then the kicker, it would mean a lot if you helped. You've always been such a good brother. Nope. Not doing that. Not falling for that soft voice crap again. I said, you want me to delay my work and school schedule to drive her to an art class? She's your sister, my dad says. Like, that's a magical sentence that overrides logic. I shook my head. She's got 2 parents. Figure it out. The tension in the room snapped like a rubber band. My mom's face went red. My dad stood up. We gave you a home, food, everything, and this is how you repay us? Repay? That's what this was about? They weren't asking, they were collecting. Like they kept a silent tab all these years and now wanted me to cash out before leaving. One last transaction. You didn't give me a home, I said. You gave me a storage room, and you fed me just enough to keep me from complaining. That one hit. My mom left the table. My dad didn't say anything, just stared at the wall like maybe it would back him up. They didn't bring it up again. But that's when the guilt games really kicked in. The house got heavy. I'd walk in, and my mom would be crying quietly in the living room. My dad would sigh louder than usual when I walked by. My sister stayed out of it, or so I thought, until she came to my room one night, knocked first progress. Can I come in? I said yeah. She sat on the floor instead of the bed. I know they're freaking out, she said. I didn't say anything. She kept going. They act like you're abandoning us, but you're not. You're just finally doing something for yourself. That caught me off guard. Not because it was wrong, just I never expected her to say it. She looked up at me and said, I think you should go. I nodded. Then she added, but if it helps, I'll tell them I don't need the rides. I'll say I changed my mind. I blinked. You really going to do that? She nodded. I've taken enough already. I can get myself there. It was quiet after that. She didn't apologize. Not really. But I think that was her way of doing it. And honestly, I respected it. I was never trying to cut her out of my life. I just needed my own lane, my own shot, my own name on something that wasn't hers first. That week I stopped avoiding dinner, not because I suddenly felt close to them, but because I didn't want to leave with more silence. I said what I needed to say. Nothing over the top, no big speeches, just facts. I'm not doing this to hurt anyone, I said. I'm doing it because I can't keep living in a place where I don't belong. They didn't respond. My dad nodded. My mom looked at her plate. It was the most honest dinner we'd had in years. Afterward, my sister came into my room again. I hope we still talk when you leave. I looked at her and said, we will if you treat me like a real person. She nodded. That was enough. It happened on a Thursday, not a big day, not a dramatic storm or anything poetic, just a normal kind of gray afternoon. I had my stuff packed in 2 duffel bags and a cardboard box taped halfway shut with a roll of Target receipt tape. My cousin David showed up in his dusty Ford Ranger with the busted passenger door and this dumb air freshener that smelled like fake watermelon. He honked once, didn't get out of the truck. It was time. I stood at the front door for a second, not to soak anything in or get nostalgic. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't forgetting my charger. That's the kind of closure I was working with. My mom came out of the kitchen when she heard me moving. She looked like she wanted to say something, but the words didn't line up right. Her mouth opened, closed, then opened again like she was buffering. You packed already? She asked. I lifted the box a little. Yeah. She looked down at the floor. I washed your hoodie. It's in the dryer. I nodded. Thanks. She didn't hug me. Didn't cry either. I think she used all her tears already. Or maybe she figured if she cried it would feel like she was admitting something, and my mom doesn't admit stuff unless it's baked into a casserole. My dad came in from the garage. He looked at the bags, then at me, then back at the bags like he wasn't sure what part he was supposed to focus on. You sure about this? He asked. I nodded. He gave a half smile. Not the warm kind. The tight, awkward dad kind. Well, if it doesn't work out, you know where home is. I almost laughed. Not to be a jerk, it just sounded weird. Home, right? I'd been living in that house for 18 years and it never really felt like that word fit, but I didn't say that. I just said, I'll be okay. My sister didn't come down. I figured she was waiting for me to stop by her room. I thought about it for a second. Almost did, but then I figured if she wants to talk, she's got a phone and a mouth. She can reach out. I opened the door. The wind smelled like gas and rain and cheap grass seed. David waved from the truck. Let's go, soldier. I tossed the bags in the back, climbed in, and didn't look back. He asked me, You good? I said, yeah, and I meant it. We drove in silence most of the way. His radio was busted, So the only soundtrack was the rattling AC vent and the occasional "did you tie that box down?" when something slid in the back. When we got to his place, he showed me the room. It was small. Bed against the wall, tiny desk, one window that looked out at a fence. No frills, no posters, just plain. It was perfect. We grabbed burgers that night from this greasy little place that barely passed health inspections. I paid for mine. Felt good. Nobody told me what to order. Nobody took a bite and called it theirs. Nobody made me split it, to be fair. That first night, I didn't cry. I didn't do some dramatic stare out the window either. I just set up my laptop, plugged it in, and finally exhaled. And man, that felt like breathing for the first time. In the days that followed, I started working more shifts with David. We painted a dentist's office, cleared out a shed for some lady with 5 cats, and power washed the nastiest deck I've ever seen. I went to class, came home, cooked pasta, and passed out by 10 o'clock. I'm still figuring it out, but for the first time in my life, nobody is waiting to take whatever I build for myself. And that's enough.